Are you struggling to keep up with boxing? Download the Boxing Showtimes app for the latest fight schedules, full undercards, boxer stats, news, and real-time updates. It's more than just an app, it's the boxing community you want to join.
Boxing King Media, powered by BYD. We're out here in the Gold Coast. Eddie Hearn, how you doing?
I'm doing good, mate. I'm a bit tired. I'm alive. I did apparently get mugged in Miami.
What's the chance you're going to bring that up? Because that's the first thing on my list.
Mate, honestly, just goes to show you don't believe everything you read, number one. Number two, I woke up this morning and I had like loads of messages from people going, oh mate, I'm so sorry, are you okay? I'm like, what the fuck? And then someone sent me the fake Benson account saying that I took on 4 armed robbers, was it, in Miami?
In a Rolex store?
That's the kind of story I would come up with. I love the story. I was going to go along with it. Could have made it 6 armed robbers. Do you know what I mean? But as you know, if you do watch my interviews, I don't wear a watch because I don't want to be getting mugged for a watch, just a whoop. So don't bother mugging me if you're out there. Yeah, so unfortunately for some, I'm not in hospital. I didn't get mugged in Miami, but I am here on the Gold Coast ahead of what I think will be a brilliant fight on Wednesday.
Indeed, you definitely are. I think it's Frank Smith that wears the nice watches.
He does. Frank Smith's got a great watch collection. Yeah. Shouldn't really say that just in case anyone's watching. Beware, Frank.
Now, people have commented on the interviews before, but you've made it to the Gold Coast. You know, that press conference there, you know, you've done loads in the past, and I know you're not one to get intimidated, but when Jai OPETAIA looks at you in the eye and he says, I'm sick of interviews, did you ask, give a bit of a wobble? I'm
like, wow, I've just got here, you know. Jai is Jai. I mean, I've never, I want to say, not had a pleasant conversation with him, but he just wants, I mean, half the time he looks like he just wants to chin me, but all the time he looks like he wants to fight somebody. And I'm so intrigued about this fight because Jai was supposed to be fighting Sin Cara, right? Who was a mandatory. It was just one of those mandatories that it was like, oh, okay, let's get it out of the way. Sin Cara pulled out, and what you have to do in that situation with the IBF, quite annoyingly, to be honest with you, you have to go down the whole list and phone people and say, are you ready to fight in 3 weeks? Some people mess you around to try and like, but we were reading out the names and we got to NYIKA and Mick went, oh yeah, NYIKA won't take it. And I said, no, right. And then we kept going down. We actually did a deal with an American fighter who was, I think was number 11. And then Mick phoned me up. He went, NYIKA's taking the fight. I went, no, shut up, Mick. He went, oh, no. I went, he won't sign. Like, there's no way he'll sign. Well, anyway, 2 days, whatever it was, a day later, he'd sign. And I'm like, I mean, I've been talking about OPETAIA NYIKA as a fight that in 12 months' time could break records here with the Australian, the New Zealand mix, and I just couldn't believe he took it. I mean, I love the fact that he's taking it, and he's dangerous in this fight. It is too early. There's no doubt. It doesn't mean he can't win. But I was just so happy that with everything that we're doing, obviously this is a Riyadh season event with His Excellency as well, it's a really big fight, and I think it'll do really good numbers as well.
Do you give David much of a chance? Because I was looking at the odds earlier. He's like a massive outsider. But if you look at his credentials, obviously Olympic bronze medalist. He sparked 9 of the 10 guys he's fought.
Commonwealth Games, 2-time gold medalist. Good fighter. He's in deep. Like, you're never going to fight a better cruiserweight than Jai OPETAIA. And you would always like a fighter like NYIKA to have a few 10-rounders, a couple of 12-rounders, like whatever. But also, sometimes you just believe, I don't know whether it's the sparring they've had or whether they've seen something. If you want to start sort of giving yourself a few little rays of hope, Jai OPETAIA has been quite active, and don't forget he only found out about this opponent 3 weeks ago. Everyone's talking about him against Ramirez. Everyone's talking about him against Usyk. He hasn't boxed at home for 2.5 years. How's he going to find that? Like, you know, I mean, but that's just what happens. It only really matters when the bell goes. Saying you believe is one thing. Do you truly believe? If NYIKA truly believes, he's going to be a handful on Wednesday night. But he's fighting the best cruiserweight in the world, and I do believe OPETAIA will win the fight.
You know, when you obviously grew up in the 90s, you saw a lot of the old school fighters. You know, when I interviewed Jai the other day, I was talking to him about pain threshold and why he wants to, because he said something that stuck out to me in the Bradis fight, that he wanted to feel that he earned that title rather than running around the ring and trying to protect his jaw. He basically gave no shits about his jaw, and he basically just said that what's pain when life's got more emotional roller coasters. He just the comments people are saying he was giving them goosebumps.
Yeah.
Who can you compare this guy to?
Some people can take that. Some people have that threshold. It's a bit like stress, right? Everyone's got that boiling point, but the boiling point is very different. It's individualistic. Do you know what I mean? I think that my stress threshold, in terms of the workload, in terms of the abuse you might get or the shit you have to put up with, I think it's very high. My pain threshold is probably more like down here. Do you know what I mean? But with Jai, his pain threshold is clearly up here. And if you can mentally overcome that, like what he did against OPETAIA, against Brady's, he should be a national hero. He beat the best cruiserweight in the world with 2 breaks in his jaw. Was what, the 3rd round or something like that? And fought the whole 12 rounds in a back and forth war and came through that. You can never question the bollocks of Jai OPETAIA. He is a tough, tough son of a bitch. But that pain threshold, and by the way, that pain threshold can change over the years, depending on the hunger of the fighter. Because as you start to make money, and as your life starts to change, don't be surprised for that pain threshold to drop. Jai's not there yet. But when a fighter, that's why when I look at people like AJ, I look at Canelo particularly, like, how are you still prepared to go to those depths when you've made all that money, when you've made all that history and legacy? Some people are just about that. Do you know what I mean? And they're the greats. That doesn't. I mean, boxing's a brutal sport, but it's even like, you look at these great athletes and these marathon runners and Tour de France, and the people that just can push and can push through and push through and push through. They're dangerous, fucking horrible. That's why, sorry to go back about myself. That's why I'm horrible to people, because I don't fucking stop. And that's like Jai. He don't stop. That's like the great cyclists, the great runners. They don't fucking stop. And you got to hang with them. And you got to hang with them and know that they ain't fucking going nowhere, mate. You got to hammer them to the floor. And even then, they're pulling nails out and they're fucking still getting up. That's Jai OPETAIA. So you better be prepared to either do something sensational, like somehow find a way to outbox him and outthink him for 12 rounds, or put him to sleep, which is, I'm not sure, even possible. And that's how you beat Jai OPETAIA, because he's an animal.
Never thought Eddie Hearn would be comparing himself to Jai OPETAIA.
I'm trying to put it into layman's terms, because you can't explain to people. How can you explain to someone breaks their jaw in 2 places, right? The agony of that. And it's not like you broke your jaw and you're carrying on running. You're getting your face caved in on your jaw that is broken here and here, and you're taking shots on your jaw and you're still going and you're refusing to quit. You can't explain that to people because it ain't fucking normal. And he ain't normal. So you got to give him unbelievable respect.
Definitely. I'm going to talk to you about your heavyweights in the card tomorrow, because I think you got to go to another event soon. So just a couple of other quick things I want to speak to you about. What's the latest on Conor Benn and Chris EUBANK Jr.? We've seen Chris is in Riyadh. Is that linked to a potential fight with Conor?
It's not actually, but I think myself, obviously, look, His Excellency wants to make the biggest fights out there, and there's no fight bigger in British boxing than Tyson Fury AJ and Conor Benn against Chris EUBANK. So I'm sure there's interest there. I've been speaking to Ben Shalom multiple times a day for the last week, and I think next week, or this week actually, just kind of forget where you are out here, don't you, on the days?
It's Monday today.
Is crunch time. I think if we're going to make this fight, it'll be by the end of the weekend.
Is that UK or Riyadh?
UK.
What do you make of Frank Warren? Apparently he's suing Chris. I thought that was settled by His Excellency.
I don't know. I mean, was there an apology? I don't know. It was taken. I don't know. But listen, Frank's Frank. He's these old school, proper stubborn, and I admire it. Because like my old man, they won't let it lie, you know. Do you know what I mean? See, with me, I'm not soft, but I can't be bothered with a lot of stuff. And it's like, but those guys, once you cross the line, mate, you got to pay.
Talking of suing, your case with Jake Paul, what's the latest on that?
Ongoing. Yeah, ongoing. Look, I think, you know, we've had a couple of conversations with Jake and Nikisa, and, you know, it's the same thing. Sometimes you cross the line and it's got to be dealt with. And, you know, whilst we keep active in our working relationship with them, it is something that needs to be resolved.
Quick one on Boots, what's the latest on him?
Big news coming very soon. We hope to close a very big fight in the next week.
In your best Australian accent, sell this show to the fans. Tell them why they should buy this on pay-per-view in Australia and New Zealand.
As far as I'm concerned, mate, I think it's an absolute ripper. You know, you got, for me, the #1 cruiserweight in the world, Jai OPETAIA. The geezer's an absolute fucking animal, right? Balls are fucking like melons, yeah? And then you got David NYIKA. For me, one of the top prospects to come out of New Zealand, 10-0, gold medalist, Commonwealth Games, Olympian. You know, this is an outstanding fight. The IBF, the Ring Magazine, let's find out who's the man. And after we've had a good tear-up on Wednesday night, live on DAZN around the world, we'll put a couple of shrimps on the barbie, a couple of Fosters, and we'll all be away. See you soon.
Good day, mate.